Hey guys, what's up? Emo Cat Dad here, hanging out with you, bringing you yet another edition of Emo Cat Dad Listens. If you're new here, first off, thanks so much for stopping by. What it is I do here is I vow to check out a new band or artist every day of 2024. I check out 4 songs from across their discography, give you my initial thoughts on those songs, give you my ranking of the songs, and then, of course, my overall thoughts on the artist based on what I just heard. As you can see right there, today's artist is I See Stars. This was a kind suggestion from one of you viewers, so please keep those suggestions coming. Go into the comments now, leave me bands or artists you think I absolutely need to check out. I'd appreciate it oh so much so I can get to it on a future episode of this. So what do I know about I See Stars? I have actually heard Murder Mitten, and I had seen them live. So, there used to be this fest in a town about an hour and a half from me. I See Stars was playing it one year. I think it was around 2014. And basically, you know, when I'm going to a concert, I'll make like a mix CD or a Spotify playlist. And because this was a festival, it was like, oh, let me make a CD of like one song from each of these artists. So Murder Mitten went on the CD. It was okay. I didn't like love it or anything, but I didn't hate it either. So when the festival came around, I See Stars was playing. We actually had no other bands that we wanted to see, so we were like, hey, let's check out I See Stars. And it was strange because obviously if you've heard Murder Mitten, it's not acoustic, but the band played their set acoustic. Never really dug into their background, so I don't know what that's all about. You guys let me know in the comments if maybe they had a point where they were acoustic, or if their drummer or something had just left the band. You would know better than I would. But yeah, so after that weird experience, I never really went back to them because I never had a reason to. But here we are in 2024, and I'm finally giving I See Stars a listen. Well, more than Murder Mitten anyways. So let's dive into I See Stars. So their first album, 3D, came out in 2009. So I checked out a track from that called The Common Hours. Okay, so I do like the electronic elements out in the open with this track. Band should absolutely bring the sound back. Electronics are used more than ever in songs nowadays, but a lot of times it's like either 808 drums or it's just kind of electronics added as a layer into the mix. Like, let's put it front and center like on this track. As for the vocals, though, they weren't my favorite. The cleans, I feel like there was some production choices that took away from them, and the uncleans were that rise core style with the high-pitched screams. If you've watched these videos before, you'll know that I've said multiple times I could not get into rise core. For that reason, I didn't like the vocals. I tried early on to get into it, and then I just wrote off a bunch of bands as rise core. And honestly, I See Stars was probably in that initial grouping. And clearly for good reason, listening to the uncleans on this track. Alright, so next up, I'm going to listen to something off their 2013 album, New Demons. This seems to be Metalcore Kids' favorite album of theirs. This is the one with Murder Mitten on it, but of course, already heard that, so it doesn't fit the vibe. So instead, I'm going to listen to the second most streamed song off that album, 10,000 Feet. Alright, so the cleans sound much better on this track. And in fact, the uncleans do as well. They've clearly evolved past that high-pitched rise core scream thing. It still pops up a couple times, but it's mostly like one line before the breakdown or something like that. They'll break it out. For the most part, it's just like regular screamed, unclean vocals. And, you know, I enjoy those. What I didn't enjoy was this track's runtime. It clocks in well over 5 minutes, and it did not need to be. There was lots of lyrical repetition. There was a 45-second outro that mostly was a cool breakdown, but it could have just been, you know, a 20-second breakdown in that style, because it does just kind of repeat the same parts over and over again. And of course, there were some musical breaks throughout. Some of them were worthy, some of them just were not. So I think he probably could have made a clean 4-minute song easy. Next up was their most recent album, Treehouse, and I checked out Calm Snow. Wow, Icy Stars were really early to this sound. This is kind of like that Bad Omens style that's super popular now. Now, obviously, Bad Omens was also coming out around this time. So, Icy Stars, Bad Omens, really good friends. That's actually the most I've heard of Icy Stars in the last couple of years was in relation to Bad Omens. Either they're touring together, or they're hanging out together, or they're working on songs together. So yeah, I think Icy Stars borrowed a little bit from Bad Omens here in the early days. But the drumming is the highlight of this track. It's incredible. Kudos to the drummer. If when I seen them in like 2014 or whatever it was, they had just like their drummer had just left. They did a great job replacing him with whoever this is. All right, so why did I just talk about their most recent album and it's only the third song? Usually you talk about 4 songs. I still am. Over the last couple of years, Icy Stars has made a return. They haven't really announced an album or anything yet, but they fired off 4 singles. I'm going to check out the most recent one, which is Damage Done, but the first A is a 4, so guess it fits for the 4th song. These vocal melodies just aren't for me personally. I'm having a hard time to find the words to describe this. This is unlike anything Icy Stars has ever done, so kudos to them for taking the swing. But I guess if I had to explain this, the best I can do is, you know those videos where someone would be like, Blink 182, but if it was a country song. This is like someone doing one of those, but it was like, Icy Stars if performed in the style of Imagine Dragons. And I mean, that's not to be a slight on Imagine Dragons, because I think a lot of Imagine Dragons isn't for me personally, but I think they can actually write some catchy hooks and parts of songs. And although they try to give us some hooks on this track, I don't find them catchy or hooky at all. Alright, so those were the 4 tracks I checked out. Let's rank them. Coming in at number 1, Calm Snow. No doubt in my mind this was the most fun I had. It's also probably the most pleasing to my personal taste, so that probably plays a role. But I was just enamored with this style, and I hope Icy Stars does go back to it. Guys, let me know if maybe I just picked the wrong one of the new singles. Maybe the other 3 singles are more in line with this track. Let me know in the comments below, because I will probably want to check those out, because I enjoyed my time with this track so much. At 2, I'll go the Common Hours. This was close. It could have went either way. I think ultimately I'm going to give it to the Common Hours because I enjoyed most of the music of it. The vocals weren't there for me, but I had less issues with the cleans than the uncleans, which is kind of the opposite of our number 3 choice, 10,000 Feet, where I really enjoyed 99% of the vocals. It was just the music that was a little long in the tooth. And honestly, it drowned out a lot of the electronics that I enjoyed in the last track. So it was a coin flip. Ultimately, vocals did not win out, which is uncommon for me. Usually vocals do win out, but I think I just couldn't get over the runtime that this track had. And finally, at 4, Damage Done. Really didn't enjoy this track upon one listen. Maybe it will grow on me with more, as this is probably their most like post-hardcore song outside of Calm Snow, which is what a genre I tend to enjoy more than their earlier like metalcore stuff. The vocals took a big step back with those strange melodies that they were playing with. I just could not get over that. Alright, so what are my overall thoughts on Icy Stars? Well, packaging these 4 songs with Murder Mitten, which I've heard before, of course, I think that the clean singing is probably my favorite aspect of this. Obviously, the only problem I had with clean singing was on the earlier track, which was Production Issue, and on the most recent track, which was the melody that they took a swing with, as well as some of the production they tried to do on it. Musically, I like the electronic core stuff a lot. I hope that that comes back. We have seen some bands start playing with it more, but it's more so in the heavier side, and they just kind of use it to bridge the gap between heavier parts. I think the Common Hours did a great job of keeping it in throughout while still being enjoyable to the heavy music fans. Icy Stars was one of the pioneers of it, so I hope they're one of the ones to bring it back with the other tracks. And like I said, I only checked out 5 tracks by Icy Stars, so please leave suggestions in the comments based on what I just said. Maybe one of these new songs will completely knock my socks off and be a combination of electronic core and calm snow. So please let me know. Alright guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I'm your friendly neighborhood Emo Cat Dad. I appreciate you making it to the very end of this video. Like I said multiple times, leave me suggestions in the comments below of other bands or artists I need to check out. And leave me your thoughts on Icy Stars. And also those song suggestions that I've mentioned a couple times. Are you excited for the new album? Am I completely wrong on Damage Done? Is it the best of the 4 singles? If you think so, then that's certainly a choice. And either makes me worry about the status of the other 3 tracks or the status of your hearing. All in all, I hope you had fun with me today. Please come back tomorrow and check out whatever I'm going to do tomorrow. I don't even know yet. So leave those suggestions. Maybe that will be what I do tomorrow. You just never know. But if you're going to come back, the best way to do it is if you simply cut my wrist and hit subscribe. Emo Cat Dad signing off for now, but until tomorrow, I want to hear you sad.